What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the 2021 episode of the Tesla Geek Show. I am Anwar Beck.
And I'm Eli. And on this week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show, we're going to talk about Elon Musk becoming the wealthiest man in the world, passing up Jeff Bezos, Jeff who. We're going to talk about this crazy tear of the Tesla stock that's gotten Elon there, speculate about what's driving it, and the thing that everyone's hyped for at the moment is the Tesla Model S and X about to be refreshed. This week's episode of the Tesla Geek Show is brought to you by EvanX. EvanX is the Tesla community's accessory store. And if you go and buy from EvanX and order $100 or more, you can use the Tesla Geeks discount code for $10 off. All right. Let's jump into this. First episode of 2021, brother.
Happy New Year, Tesla geeks out there.
Happy New Year, Tesla geeks. We are still standing and excited to be back with you doing this again. We took off some time for the holidays. I think we all needed a break, get some vacationing in, but we're glad to be back talking Tesla.
Definitely. Today is actually a special day. I don't know when this will be released, but tomorrow is Eli's birthday. So, Eli, I know this wasn't planned, but I've been saving something. I still, do you have yours, by the way?
I don't. It's downstairs, so I need to go get it.
Oh, no worries. So I haven't tasted the Tesla tequila. I'm going to do it live on the show in honor of Eli's birthday. I literally haven't cracked this open yet, dude. This is
all right. Let me get mine. I got to do it with you. Hold on.
5 minutes later.
All right, I got it. Here we go. I didn't know I was going to be opening this today. It feels like a crime to open this. This thing is like liquid gold. It's already selling for 4 times what it cost. Like it now already costs. I couldn't afford this bottle.
It smells so good, dude. If you guys follow us on Twitter or Instagram, you know I grabbed 2 of these Tesla tequila bottles. One of them is going to my cousin, Serk, in Kazakhstan. So that one is still in his box, but this is one that Matt and I have been keeping in our office. I literally haven't opened this until just now. I was saving it for a special day, and Eli's birthday seems like the right occasion.
And I also got to say, it's kind of amazing how many Tesla geeks birthdays we have in this short period.
Oh, that's right.
Today is Galli's. January 12th is Galli's. And I also share a birthday with Kristen, also known as K10, and some of us know as K12.
Gally, K10, on behalf of the Tesla geeks, Eli, happy birthday. Let's go ahead and pour our first shot, I guess.
Happy birthday.
Or are you going straight from the
bottle? I'm gonna do this right from the bottle. It's like
okay. Why not? Huh?
When do you get to take a shot out of a lightning bolt made by Elon Musk?
So I guess we'll talk about this in a little bit. But happy birthday from the Tesla Geeks Show to Eli, Gally, and K10. And congratulations to Elon Musk on becoming the richest person in the world. We know that doesn't mean anything to you, but we appreciate you and everybody at Tesla. And happy birthday to my brothers and sisters in the Tesla community. Are you ready, Eli?
Cheers, guys. Happy birthday. Congrats.
Cheers. Oh, man. Oh, that's smooth.
Oh, man, that's really smooth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, for those of you that haven't had this yet, dude, like legit though, right?
Yeah, it's good. It's an añejo, so it's been aged.
Wow.
I do feel a little bit bad for drinking it, but now that I've had it, this bottle's probably not going to last as long as it should.
Yeah.
All right, Elon, this shot's for you.
Here we go. Dude, I do feel bad. Okay.
So speaking of Elon becoming the wealthiest man in the world, he doesn't really care. And his tweet response to John of Silicon Valley was hilarious. And he's like, well, that's odd. Well, back to work. Elon said a long time ago that he's not going to be selling any of his Tesla stock for a very long time to come, 10 years plus type of thing. And then when he does, he's going to spend the money to put humanity on Mars. So him amassing this wealth is fantastic because he's going to invest it into one of the greatest causes that pushes humanity forward. And it's going to take somebody like him to throw an unbelievable amount of private wealth into this to make this thing happen.
Definitely. Dude, like one of my favorite parts of Elon becoming the richest person in the world, the event, was how nonchalant he was about it. So the actual tweet by our good buddy, John, Tesla owner, Silicon Valley, was at Elon is now the richest person in the world at $190 billion. Elon immediately replies back, how strange. And then, well, back to work, ...
Yeah.
I mean, that's so Elon, right? Like everybody expected that very response.
It is. And, I could see what makes it even stranger too, is Elon's net worth has increased by like 10x in the past year, right? In the past couple of years, Tesla's had like a 17x run up. And even crazier, in the last 3 months, Tesla has doubled again after already having a 10x run from the year before it. So like, it's just been an absolute like moonshot for this stock. I don't think anybody ever expected it to go this high, this fast when it finally did break out. Even Elon on multiple occasions has said the stock is too high. And now he's like, apparently I don't know what I'm talking about because it just keeps going. It keeps going. Yep. What's our share price at today, January 12th?
We are at $850 basically.
849.
849. Hold on. Let me multiply that by 5. So if you take 850 times 5, $4,250 is the pre-split price.
That's stunning. I remember buying shares a little over a year and a half ago, about a year and a half ago at 280 pre-split.
Yep.
And that's gone to 4,000.
Because of this recent news, an old tweet from a couple of years ago from our buddy on Twitter, Owen Willis, Elon replied to one of his tweets explaining basically like how his wealth would be distributed. And he said, this is a quote from Elon's Twitter, about half my money is intended to help problems on Earth and half to help establish a self-sustaining city on Mars to ensure continuation of life. In parentheses, he's got of all species, in case Earth gets hit by a meteor like the dinosaurs or World War III happens and we destroy ourselves.
Talk about grand significance for the plan of his wealth.
I can't think of anybody that I would want to have that. I don't think it's a title or whatever. Like, you can tell like Elon legit doesn't give a shit about this whatsoever. He's just like, let's put our head down and do the work. Elon's good buddy and friend of the pod, Chamath Palihapitiya from the All In podcast, he was on CNBC talking about Elon could be the first trillionaire in the world, right?
Yeah, and it seems like that may be possible because it's going to be a lot. Like, I think what'll be the thing that finally makes it happen is when some of his other companies go public. Because the thing about being private is if you have a really good runaway company and something that's got a lot of growth potential, the public stock market is willing to pay you ahead of time for that growth potential and give your company a high valuation. Like SpaceX is valued currently at like $48 billion. That is grossly undervalued if you appreciate the long-term arc of SpaceX. However, when a company is privately valued, it's just purely based on numbers today. You're not doing crazy speculative. Like when SpaceX is not valued based on when they have a fleet of 1,000 starships, even though we believe in Elon and the market would believe in Elon, and if SpaceX was publicly traded, SpaceX would probably be almost $1 trillion stock because it's the best play to invest in the future of space. So 10 years from now, when SpaceX does IPO, I think that's when Elon will become a trillionaire and its public worth in the public markets will become fully realized.
And all this is a culmination of what our good friend David Lee brought up on his podcast, the David Lee on Investing YouTube channel. I think he tweeted this out at Elon saying, Elon, you should combine all your companies under one umbrella of a company called X.com, right? Or X. And did you see the meme or the tweet that Elon sent today?
No, I didn't see it.
So the tweet said X.com/X. And it said, where does it hurt? When you have a headache, there's a red thing. And then when you have a stomach ache, and then the rest of it is like your whole body is red. It says the domain for that side project you never launched is up for renewal.
I feel that so hard. There's so many domains I bought that when they renew, I'm just like, that's another $14.
Elon tweeted that out today about, I guess he owns the domain X.com.
He does. He's owned it for a long time. So he actually had as part of leaving PayPal, he really wanted to keep X.com and he paid them some $27 million for it. I think that's the amount. It's been a long time since I've read it, but that was an important domain for him.
A little bit of background, guys. Back in the day, we know about Elon as one of the guys who was a big instrumental part of PayPal, but the company that him and his brother Kimball started was actually called X.com. It was something very similar business model wise with PayPal. And according to Elon's book, I want to say they were almost in the same building and competing after the same customers. So at one point it made sense for X.com and PayPal to merge. And I think Elon became the CEO. I think that's where that X.com stayed, the domain name. He must have taken that over after that company was swallowed up by PayPal.
Yeah, and actually when after he left PayPal, he later negotiated a deal to buy that domain back from them because it became their asset after the merger. But yeah, so I got a hot take on this suggested X holding company. I think it is a terrible idea because from an investing standpoint, although it sounds cool, from an investing standpoint, you want to be able to invest in Tesla because you believe in Tesla. You want to be able to invest in electric cars because you believe in electric cars. It's going to make a mess out of the investment space. If you want to put money into Tesla, you also have to put money into SpaceX, Neuralink, who all have their own business models, have their own products, have their own markets. You want to be able to invest in different businesses separately. Different businesses carry their own risk. I could see the benefit of we're roughly all winning together, but it's hard for investors to be able to put as much capital in something and get near as much return if the gains from one company are offset by another company that they didn't even really believe in or want to invest in the first place. Now, in net, Elon Musk wins, but I really don't see it as a good thing. And I think if you were to combine all the companies, I think the net total value would be less than if the companies are separate. And considering that Elon is going to need as much cash in the future as possible for this Mars mission, I don't see making a conglomerate, which is going to devalue the net worth of the assets being valuable versus having them standalone, and they can all have their own hype value.
This has been a huge rift in the Tesla community because even on the Tesla Geek Show, I'm going to take the exact opposite approach. I think X.com would be an unbelievable idea because I invest in not the companies or the idea. I'm investing in the person. The two people that I'm a massive fan of, that I've got money in on and I've had money, is Elon Musk, and the second is Chamath Palihapitiya. Those guys, I admire them. I think what they're going after, the business model, they're trying to do good things for the world. So Elon being chairman of X.com, the holding company, and Tesla, SpaceX, Boring Company, Neuralink, all these other companies being wrapped up in it, I think just simplifies his life. I think it'll actually be the opposite, dude. I think this company will be worth in 10 years, $10, $15 trillion. This is how Elon becomes a trillionaire. I honestly think this is going to happen in the next couple of years. It's going to come out of left field. It's going to come out of nowhere. And I think Elon will still have 20-30% share of this conglomerate. I mean, it's kind of I'm not a big fan of Jack Ma, but Jack Ma has his I forget what he calls his parent company or whatever. I think the Ant Group. I think Elon, I could see Elon being chairman, president of the X company, kind of like Alphabet and Google, and just simplifying what he's doing because they've said before Tesla is 12 startups rolled up into one, and then on top of that, you add SpaceX. On top of that, you add Boring Company, Neuralink. Am I missing any other major ones?
No, that's the major ones.
I think those are the major ones, but I'm sure they have other things that are in the pipeline. But I could see, him basically having a CFO that handles the financing and money raising for all that. I could see a lot of people supporting Elon Musk and the stock doing well, to be honest.
I think for those of us who believe in Elon Musk, we'll have money in his companies, whether it's one conglomerate or not, right? I think the people that it cuts out is people who and there's a lot of investors who will be interested in Tesla. One of the reasons for Tesla's run up is if you want to make a play in the EV space, there's one leader, right? It's Tesla. If you want to make a direct play to capitalize on autonomy, it's Tesla, right? If you want to make a direct play to capitalize on software as a service in cars, like the future of tech in cars, it's still Tesla. Apple's who knows how many years away. So I think.
Do you want to do a disclaimer before we talk any more about investing?
I think. Well, we're not making any buy recommendations, so I think we're okay. But this isn't investment advice. But the other thing too is what I think will ultimately make it impossible is Tesla's a public company. Neuralink is private. SpaceX is private. Has a lot of other investors. Elon is set on keeping SpaceX private until the Mars mission is well underway, because he believes public pressure from public shareholders would cause it become impossible for him to direct the funds to it, because as public interest becomes interested on short-term profits versus Mars mission is a long horizon.
This is a multi-decade company, multi-decade mission. Yep.
And it's why on that company, he maintains over 50% control, right? Tesla, he didn't.
Right.
He didn't sell it out. But SpaceX, he refused. He will not cross that 50% threshold. If you were to put it under this big conglomerate, for that conglomerate to be public, that's going to substantially affect investors that are in SpaceX, who eventually someday down the road want their public exit, the investors in Boring Company, the investors in Neuralink. Like, it drags them into this whole thing that all of these companies' investors would have to get on board with. And I don't see that happening.
Yeah. So let me bring in another topic, which we discussed a little bit about Elon becoming the richest person in the world, at least on paper. But the reason that happened is this massive ramp that we've had in the share price, right? In 2020, like post-COVID, I want to say by the end of December 31st, 2020, Tesla was up well over 800% or something, right? Like 8x.
Yep.
Whatever you had, like right after the collapse of the stock market after COVID. But I think a lot of people, even me as a early investor, I'm holding out. I'm a big believer in what Chamath preaches. I think it's a Warren Buffett quote. It's not timing the market, but time in the market. So I've been a shareholder of Tesla since 2012, little bit by little bit, but this is a company I'm planning on holding for decades. A lot of people thought that all these massive gains in 2020, people would be selling off basically by the end of the year or early 2021. But just since January, like year to date, 2021, Tesla's up almost 20%, right?
And this is part of the crazy part. So they had like an 80% run up, 68% run up as part of the S&P inclusion. So that's what really kicked things off late November. We got news of S&P, and then we saw a huge run up in share price. Market makers were buying shares to eventually sell to the indexers that had to buy. Speculators were getting in on it. And we saw a 10% pullback post-inclusion. And until yesterday, it's been all the way up. It got up to like 870 before having an 8% down day yesterday. And then today it's back about at 850. But yeah, there seems to be no end in sight, and it's got momentum and people are hyped on it. It's a growth stock. I was looking at something that the top two investments right now being bought by retail investors is Tesla and Bitcoin.
Yep.
And both of them are following the same arc right now. It's just like up, and up. And it's funny, within the same 24 hours, by the way, Bitcoin had like a 20% pullback and Tesla had an 8% pullback. And it's like the same people buying and selling both of these things. So it's pretty funny to watch these two move together right now.
You think the retail investors are what's causing some of that?
There's going to be a combination of people who have been, I think the retail investors are very heavily driving a lot of this run up. There is institutional buying as well. Because there's a lot of passive index funds and active index funds that aren't necessarily completely following the S&P, but they do some benchmarking that now they're under some pressure to add Tesla to their portfolio. So they're having it bought too. But yeah, I think the retail investors are definitely making a play. Because again, Tesla and Bitcoin are the number one things being bought right now by retail investors. And there's more retail investors than ever before. And we now do have the power to move the market because the amount of scale of us that exists. Thanks to apps like Robinhood and Webull. Like, millennials are investing, man. They're investing billions of dollars.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I'll give a big shout out recommendation. A podcast. I don't know if Eli, you listen to it or not, but it's called the All In podcast. You know what that is?
I've heard you talk about it, but I don't think I have.
Oh, dude, this is, listen to this podcast. Definitely go look this up. It's called the All In Podcast. It's a group of besties or good friends, Chamath Palihapitiya, Jason, I forget Calacanis. He's like really famous in the venture capital world for investing early in Uber and such companies like that. I think Airbnb maybe. And then he's got a couple of other friends, David Freeberg and David Sachs. They're like four very close friends that are big guys in California in the VC world and investing. And they have this like podcast. And I think once a week they release. It's such for people. I'm like a student of like investing, and I want to learn as much as possible from the Warren Buffetts of the world. I think Chamath Palihapitiya is the modern day Warren Buffett, or like the millennial version, our Warren Buffett of the next, few decades.
I think so too, 100%, especially when you look at what he's doing with his IPO A through Z lineup, where he's like, look, I'm finding great businesses. I'm going to help them get public and give retail investors a chance to get in before they're huge titans and actually get in on companies, years before they typically IPO. Totally with you, man.
He kind of is the guy that 2020 was the year of SPACs. So special purpose acquisition companies. You can kind of think about a very simple explanation of that is imagine this cup. It's kind of like a shell company, an empty company like this. So Chamath starts this, and then he's out there. He'll raise money. So you fill the cup up with people's money that they trust Chamath's investment acumen and his history and what he's done. So he's basically helping companies IPO much quicker. So imagine the SPAC, and he's got IPO, like you said, A through Z. So these companies he creates, people invest in it, and then he goes out and he finds companies like Open Door, I think that's IPO B, or Virgin Galactic, I think was the first IPO. So he'll find the I had this little prop. This is Matt's little candle in Elon we trust. So he'll find like Virgin Galactic, Open Door, these companies that I think, as long as they have like funding to do amazing things, the two of them merge. This is kind of like a SPAC basically. So Chamath plans on doing this from A through Z basically. And I think right now he is SPAC'd just like 2 or 3 companies. The first one was Virgin Galactic. So once the two companies merge and combine, they take over the name of the new company.
Yep.
So Open Door was IPO B, which I invested in, and then Open Door they combined, and then they became OPEN. I think is the the stock symbol, and then next one is Clover IPO C. Then there's IPO D, E. I don't know if I think all the way through F. You can go and you can buy into these SPACs basically.
Yeah, and you can buy into it even before what company it is like finalized, right? Like so that's part of the thing too. Yeah. Like you can get into it where it's like, hey, he's going to merge a company into this. Do you believe in what he's doing? It's a really cool thing that he's doing and giving investors a lot of opportunity who are also willing to take more risk. And super layman's like the reason why you do these SPACs is it's a much faster, cheaper way to get a company public. Going public with a company the traditional way is a very long, expensive process. And this cuts through a lot of red tape.
A traditional IPO is a lot of red tape. Lots of paperwork and hurdles, about 18 months. So almost 2 years.
That's insane.
We're SPACing what Chamath has done with the last few. It's like 3 to 4 months, basically.
And think about 18 months in the time frame of a business. That's game changing and giving a business access to capital markets sooner.
Oh my God. It could be like the difference between going bankrupt and surviving. I think Airbnb is an amazing example of this last year.
100%. And let's give an example though, too. So like who is leading the SPAC matters. So Chamath Palihapitiya is obviously a very famous investor, very successful investor. And, by all means, and a lot of people's standards, including mine, he seems to have people's best interests at heart. He's got a reputation that he's not interested in destroying. He's worth tens of billions of dollars already. So Chamath is somebody that a lot of people have faith in when he does these SPACs. I know a lot of you this year found out about a SPAC for the first time because Nikola did a reverse merger SPAC to list. And like the Tesla geeks and a lot of other people in the Tesla community were calling out from the very beginning, it was a fraud.
We call that shit.
It was a fraud. They were lying. They were claiming to have capabilities they didn't have. Trevor Milton lied countless times, and eventually it's all going to come out in court. Class action lawsuit pending. GM deal fell apart. They said that they're now not going to make the Badger. Like it's just everything they promised to be was just hype and bullshit. And that was a case of a SPAC being misused. And it was done by some people that we knew nothing about, and they just came out running a hype game. That's very different than what Chamath is doing. which is using it to get these companies to a private market. He's putting what, 500 million into each company himself. I believe that's
100 million each.
100 million. So he's putting his skin in the game into every single one of these. Very different situation than Nikola. But, you know, at the end of the day, SPACs do come with more risk because part of the reason they don't take as long is they don't have these long, extensive financial audits done by big banks. So there is more risk to it, but I think there's a lot of opportunity and not investing advice. Definitely not investing advice.
And he's been on record on the All In podcast talking about an easy way to think about SPACs. I mean, some of you guys that invest in stocks and maybe you're aware of the venture capital world. A lot of these companies, typically what happens is a company starts from zero. They have like a minimum viable product, an idea that they want to do. They build it up. They raise capital essentially in the very beginning, the bootstrapping days from family, friends, and, you know, like family and friends. They get it to the stage, and when they're ready to take the idea to a real product, they'll raise, they call them rounds, like A, B, C, D, E, whatever. I mean, it goes all the way to E, F, G, you know what I mean? All the way to almost Z. These companies continue to raise money and they get their valuations higher and higher. And really what they're doing throughout that process is increasing the idea of what they're trying to do and then the revenues, right? Nikola and Jason Calacanis has talked about how Nikola is this prime example. He's like, there's no reason for a company with zero revenues to be worth $30 billion. Like that already is like a red sign. It's like, stop. Like you know what I mean? Trevor Milton is a fucking fraudster. And we call that shit before anybody. We called him the Theranos of Nikola is basically the Theranos of the EV space. He rode Elon's coattails. I mean, it's just like luck. It was right timing. Everybody thought they missed a Tesla, 800% run up. So everybody's looking for the next Tesla. And Nikola was just sitting there on a silver platter with zero revenues, with nothing to speak for of real products. I think the only revenue that Nikola generated was it solar panels or something Nikola installed at Trevor Milton's house?
Solar panels it was a joke. It was joke revenue. It was like he had the company that Trevor Milton had the company install solar panels for him. So he had to buy them from it was so dumb.
And what's sad is like the SPACing is actually, I think, a really cool idea. I think Chamath kind of revolutionized the idea. And the way he worded it before on the All In podcast is he said, I'm giving retail investors like Eli, like you and I think you have to have a certain net wealth or something to be investing in this space. But like, basically we can get in on like round C or D. Like definitely we're not in the early phases, but once a company generates a certain amount of revenue, like I got into the Open Door IPO. So I bought into IPO B early on because I knew that it was going to be Open Door. So once they merged, I think Open Door in not today, but in 5-10 years is probably going to revolutionize the real estate industry with what they're doing. So my way of like placing a bet on Chamath, placing a bet on Open Door is basically getting into the IPO and then you forget it. Again, not an investing advice, but one thing that it's worked for me and I always believe in wholeheartedly is it's not timing the market, but it's time in the market. You find these amazing companies that you think are going to succeed. They're going to make major impacts. They're solving big problems. And you put your money in there, even if you slowly buy in a little bit at a time, and then you forget about it. And you'll be shocked at where you are in 5 years and 10-year increments.
Totally with you on that. I'm a pretty active trader in my personal account, but in my retirement, it's all long-term stuff because you don't play around with short-term options in that. And the buys I've done have done incredibly well, including Tesla. So
just wrapping this portion up. I mean, we discussed how Elon, again, became the richest person in the world, market value around 190 billion. In 5-10 years, I wouldn't be shocked if he's the first trillionaire in the world. And it could be, it's going to be a culmination of all these different companies we're talking about, you know? A lot of people think it's too late investing in Tesla. I still think it's like bottom of the first inning, if not top of the second inning. There's still, the next decade is Tesla's growth phase. We still have SpaceX. We've got Boring Company. I think we're living in a very exciting time, dude. For those of you that listen to this podcast that are part of the Tesla SpaceX community, you're part of something really special. Like, it doesn't seem like it because our world is this. We know this is obvious. We clearly see what Elon is doing. we understand what's going on, but realize we're like 0.001% of people that realize what's going on. Most people have no clue what's about to happen.
They don't. They're only just becoming aware of a lot of like Elon's now a lot more mainstream, and he's been growing there a while because his impact on pop culture, and he's like huge on Twitter and the memes. So he's been a big part of like kind of background pop culture and the internet, especially the culture of the internet. He's a huge component of that. But he's become wealthiest person in the world. Tesla setting these records, the stock run up, like everybody knows the name Tesla now, and they're starting to become more aware. The SpaceX part, people are still like completely blind to. The boring tunnel stuff is still a little ways away from people experiencing it. Like, so you and me got to go to the boring tunnel unveil, right? But it's once people actually get in pods, get in cars, that's when they're going to be like, holy crap, the future is here. And I think the cars is cool, but I think the part that'll really blow people's minds is when they get into pods and get into hyperloops and then be like, holy shit, what is happening? But it sounds like a lot of Tesla's tunnels, boring companies' tunnels, are going to be primarily just car shuttles. But even still, it's pretty goddamn cool that you take an elevator underground, get in a car, and it just drives you across underground with no traffic to your destination. You get off, you get up above ground, and then you're somewhere. So I can't wait to try that in Vegas when that goes live. It's going to be freaking awesome.
I think back in the day, he mentioned that they would never build like a motorcycle or electric bicycle because he was in an accident, I think when he was a teen, and got hit by a car and almost died or something.
Yeah, motorcycle. And actually, we got a chance to ask him that too, and he said no go to the motorcycle as well.
Yeah. No, but like I was just thinking, like I love the concept at Cybertruck of like this ATV that drives up on a ramp on top of the Cybertruck and then charges from the car battery. And I live in Austin, Texas. This is going to be home of Cybertruck Gigafactory, now the home of Elon Musk and the rest of the executives. I just saw this world where I thought it would be, I hope Elon changes his mind about at least maybe not motorcycles, but e-bikes, I think is a cool idea. If they figure out some option when on all the cars, you can figure out a way to like store your e-bike, a Tesla e-bike, and also be able to charge it from the battery. It's kind of like the last mile solution. I see a city like Austin where like, when you get near downtown, you park in these Carvana type hubs, right? I leave my car right outside of downtown. I get on my Tesla bike and I zoom to the restaurant I'm going to, the live, concert that I want to go to. And then I come back, get in my car, just keeps like, it's like congestion and trying to like improve transportation. I honestly think like, like in China, how like bicycles are a big part of the way they transport people. I think America needs to have that revolution. And I think e-bikes is it. I hope Elon changes his mind. E-bikes are an obvious play for a brand like Tesla, the leader of electric transportation, to eventually make an e-bike. And let's say Elon never gets, I know he said no to motorcycles. He may come around on e-bikes, but let's say he doesn't. Let's be realistic. Elon will not be the CEO of Tesla forever. I give it 10 years maybe before he leaves Tesla because it's gotten so far along and he focuses just on SpaceX. I don't know if you guys are like, it's a part of the early history of Tesla, but like he didn't want to have to become CEO. He wanted to be an investor and contribute that way. He took on the role because he realized he had to, because none of the other people around were able to do what needed to be done. And he believes in Tesla and he believes in the purpose of its mission, and that's why he's doing it. But the day will come, 5 years, 10 years, I don't know how long, well, he'll decide that Tesla, he has made the maximum impact that he can at Tesla, and he's going to turn his attention to SpaceX and Boring Company and Neuralink and what other fifth and sixth venture he started by then, and leave Tesla behind. And eventually there'll be a CEO where, Jobs was a visionary with Apple, and Apple was always only ever doing visionary things. Somebody else took over, and then they just started machining out products. Someday Tesla will become that company. Elon Musk will not be CEO of Tesla forever. That's not a bad thing. Not if we're ever going to get to Mars. So if it doesn't happen under Elon Musk's tenure, 5 or 10 years from now, some version of those products, I guarantee you will happen in whoever succeeds him. I know that's a sad thing to think about, the day that Elon is running Tesla. I don't even want to think about it.
It is a sad thing.
You're right.
It is
going to come.
Yeah. He's going to go to Mars someday. Like you can't run Tesla from Mars, guys. Like it's just not going to.
Are we going with him
to Mars? I'm
going.
I think we'll be old men when it gets to a point that we get that it will be viable for us to go. But it's possible. You think you'll go?
I've already started a savings account, dude.
Oh my God. I think what it's probably going to be like $1 million or something is probably my guess for the trip, which if you think about it, is not that bad. Don't get me wrong. It's a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
But to go to another planet hundreds of millions of miles away, that takes a year and a half to get there. It's not that bad.
I think $1 million is if you got like 50K to invest in Tesla and just buy in today and forget about it for a decade. I think you'll be at $1 million in 2030. So that's
perfect
another
way to do it. Invest in Elon's companies as a way to pay for your future Mars ticket.
Exactly. All right, man. The final topic we want to discuss is something that's been on a lot of Tesla geeks' minds. Is you guys heard at the end of December they basically shut down the Model S and X line for what was it, 2 weeks almost?
3 weeks. It's only just reopened
3 weeks
today. Yeah.
So of course, a lot of rumors were circulating. This, something that we've been talking about for years and years. When is the Model S and X refresh coming? What do you think, Eli?
I've heard rumors.
We would have heard by now. I feel like
I've heard rumors of interior refresh since 2017. End of 2017 is when I first heard the rumors, and people were sure it was going to be end of 2018, and then sure end of 2019. Now we're in 2021. Lines back open. Yeah, I don't know. Like, if Tesla's going to do it, it's got to be a cost-saving measure. It has to be. I don't see them changing the exterior. I think the exterior is timeless. I don't know. I mean, like, with how long they shut down and going into the early parts of January, I would expect something to change, but it's definitely too early for this to be the 48 whatever size. I can't think of it. I always forget the number.
4860.
The 4860. This would be too early for it to be the 4860. Like, I mean,
for sure.
Tesla's been being better about their timelines, but sandbagging to the extent they actually updated the website to say that the Model S Plaid on the website says end of 2021. Like, I don't see that they sandbag that hard of being like, oh, it's going to be a year till we can scale these batteries. And then really they're scaling it in months.
He did give Gally that winky face. Gally like legit reached out to Elon on Twitter and was like, how bad did you sandbag the Plaid Model S? And Elon's reply was fucking winky face, dude.
Yeah, that was a great hype response, but I mean, I would bet the farm against Plaid happening now. Like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't make sense. And again, look, maybe they pulled some insane sandbag on that, but I find that hard to believe. Like, I really find that hard to believe.
I'm going to make a prediction. Plaid comes out by the end of Q1. So like in the next 5 to 7 weeks.
Yeah, I think it's going to be end of 21, but we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you think because of that, there's no reason to do a massive refresh on the S and X unless you're changing out something drastic like the 2170s to 4680s?
Well, I guess what I'm kind of talking through is I don't think it's that, because I don't think there's any way the cell production is there. And because again, once the cell production is there, like the Plaid S is going to cannibalize the hell out of the regular S and X, because like their initial launch of it is just for Plaid. And yeah, it's a lot more money, but when you look at the range and all the stuff that comes with these new cells, I wouldn't buy, once Plaid's out, I'd have a hard time buying a regular S and X until those got those cells, right? Like it's like when you talk about the Osborne effect, that's like to the max, because like you see the new tech and you're supposed to buy the same model of car right next to it with like half the capabilities. Like, I'd be like,
double the range. Double the range. Yeah.
Why would I buy the $80,000 one when obviously these cells are going to come into it and it's going to cost maybe 90? Like, you'd be dumb to buy it, because like the side by side is you're getting the old shit and the new shit's right here. So unless they've got the production that they could pretty quickly after bring that into regular S, regular X, it would be a huge cannibalization move. Like, nobody should, like, honestly, if you're thinking about buying an S and X and Plaid is out, you should be waiting until they have the new version of those cells, because we know charge speed's going to be higher. Like, the new batteries are going to be so much better in every way that if you're buying a car for a long haul, you should wait until that happens, you know? So like, I really don't think they've got the capacity to meet the demand of even that many vehicles. Like, even 5,000 vehicles, 10,000 vehicles a quarter is a lot if they're just ramping these cells. And we know that they haven't ramped them yet. So, yeah, I think there might be some interior updates. I don't know. I'm surprised we haven't heard anything. I'm surprised something hasn't leaked. Like, I don't know.
So as far as we know, the first car that'll have the new battery cells, the 4680s, will be the Plaid Model S, right? And scheduled for like late 21, according to Tesla's timeline today.
It may be It's possible it will be the Model Ys coming out of Berlin because they're building the assembly line in Berlin.
Point. That's supposed to be mid 21. You're right.
Right. So Elon has hedged a number of times and said, this is a new technology. The initial ramp is going to take some time. They've never done the full body casting before, like they're doing over there, or they've never done the structural pack. So it's possible. My bet is the first structural pack batteries will be Berlin and Model Y. I think in the US, the first car that we will see have it will be Plaid S, followed by Cybertruck. Only reason I think Cybertruck comes after is the factory to build the Cybertruck is still being constructed right now. Elon said this is an entirely new way to make a vehicle. It's going to take time for them to figure out. So I think it'll be Model Y Berlin, Plaid S USA, and then Cybertruck USA. That's my prediction.
Okay. And then one Cybertruck, I'm guessing Q1 of 22 is like, I can expect delivery of my Cybertruck basically living in Austin, Texas. After that, I'm assuming they're going to transition solely. I think there's a story that leaked that Panasonic is actually working on the 4680s as well, right?
Multiple.
At some point, Tesla is going to shift completely. They're not going to make any other batteries except the 4680s.
When they can, yeah. So it'll be a transition, right? Because the 4680 is also an entirely new structural pack design. So I think it'll be a while because like they've got to scale up production. And that's why they're doing both in-house and Panasonic. Like they're working with multiple people to make the batteries because they can't make enough of them for themselves fast enough. So I think it'll be over time that they gradually redo the Model 3 line, finally have enough scale to meet Model 3 demand. Because the other thing too is demand for these vehicles is like going up. So the amount of batteries they're going to have to produce is getting higher and higher and higher. So I think it will take time before they can switch the 3. I think we'll see it happen obviously the S is coming first. They've already announced that. I think we'll see it happen to probably the Y first in the US because that's the best selling vehicle, then the 3, and then eventually that'll just be the only cell they make.
Yeah. And there's been, I think our friend like Kim Java, like Tesla, made a video talking about, I forget if it was from a tweet from Elon, but the rumor that Model X may be discontinued altogether.
Yeah. So that? What do you think about that?
I don't think it's going to happen, dude. It is the crown jewel, the Fabergé egg, like this Elon. I mean, I think it's just like Elon said, this car is like hubris. Like this is like all of our best tech, all of our best, I think you need that. Like if Roadster is the Halo car, I think Model X is the like tech-wise, not speed, but like just like Falcon wing doors and the auto-presenting front doors, all this. It really is a super futuristic car. When I owned the Model X, I thought I was driving something that was like from the future.
You're totally right. And I think in some of the model technology in Model X is kind of unknown how advanced it is. Like, for example, that they came up with a sonar that could see through metal, something the military didn't even have. The military like bought from Tesla because they didn't want to have to put any exterior blemishes on the surface. So they developed an entirely new radar tech that even our government didn't have so they can make the car beautiful. And like, here's the thing, what you just highlighted with the Roadster, the next gen Roadster is exactly point of they're not going to get rid of the Model X. The S, the X, very importantly, and the Roadster, those are the brand play cars. Those are the flagship cars. Those are the cars that you see and you're like, damn, those things are badass. Brands need to have those along with their economy and mass market cars. If Tesla just sold the $25,000 super basic car that's eventually coming, they wouldn't be cool off that alone. They're cool off the entire lineup of what they've done, that they have that super car, that they have the Falcon wing doors that dance and do this badass stuff, that they have the Model S P100D that's a 4-door sedan that does 0 to 60 in 2.3 seconds. Like, they don't need to sell a ton of them. It's valuable for the brand play alone.
I'm assuming most of our listeners know this, but the entire car lineup spells out, I'm assuming most people know this, right? Sexy cars.
Yep.
So sexy, the current lineup is sexy. So the S3 or the E, X and Y, that's what's available. And over the next couple of years, the future lineup is cars. So Cybertruck, ATV, Roadster, and Semi. If this is something new to people that are listening, I'm glad I mentioned it. If you guys already know this and you think that's stupid that I mentioned it, I'm sorry. But like, I share with people all the time that aren't really in our community in the space, and they're like, that is ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, that's Elon right there. That's Elon at his best. Like a freaking a joke that's been running for a decade, basically.
That's how long it took.
Or it took a decade. It took a decade to deliver the punchline.
I loved when he was with on Jay Leno's show, and Jay Leno was like, "You should stick to cars."
Yeah, that's right.
It's hilarious, man.
Yeah.
This is the type of awesome juvenile things that we all want to see happen, that these gigantic corporations never do. They do boring ass shit. This makes us love them even more. Like all of it. Like the legend of the 420 funding secured, which is why we made Elon Musk Day 420. We've totally hijacked the weed aspect of it. It's bigger as Elon Musk Day now than it is as we.
Oh, I know.
Like, so yeah, I mean, like it's all just part of the crazy legend and the awesome things of like, wow, that's cool. It's why the car has a fart mode internally, and for people who have the external speaker, they can make it fart externally. Like people love this shit. We love it.
Yep.
We love it.
So to close out, we didn't have like a final 2020 summary episode. So I kind of want to high level summarize, at least from a Tesla point of view, the year 2020. You guys have been following the Tesla Geek Show. So you guys know Eli and I have been, big fans of Elon Musk and Tesla as early investors and stuff. I've been preaching to people for a long time. And 2020 was finally the year where like people got it. At least the broader market kind of understood what we've been screaming. Tesla Q was defeated with an exclamation mark, thanks to, our friends on Twitter, the guys that defend Elon Musk, Homars, Soph, the third row crew, K10, Viv. Like, we love all you guys. I think you guys stepped up and defended Elon and Tesla in the moment where, it was like this iffy, where like Tesla Q might have won, dude. Everybody, like, we're celebrating and high-fiving where Tesla is today, but I think Elon recently tweeted out there was a moment, especially when we were going through the production, Model 3 production hell. Elon recently revealed that he approached or tried to schedule a meeting with Tim Cook of Apple to buy Tesla. That means he was days away from bankruptcy or something. Like, there's no reason that Elon Musk would go to Apple and say, please acquire me, if it wasn't something where, like, even though we think, like, I claim that, like, I've known since 2012 that Tesla was going to succeed. Clearly that wasn't, like, this could have been 1 or 0. Like, we could be talking about how Tesla, like DeLorean, went out of business. I'm just like, 2020 was a super difficult year. I get kind of emotional about it because it's like it's so unfair, dude. Like, the guys that, like, the small businesses, like, politically, I mean, it's just like when it comes to, like, reflecting on yourself, what you have going on in your life, the hardship that most people have had in 2020 was a shitty year, dude. Like, but I think sometimes through all the shit, through all the difficulty, we learn about ourselves. We learn about, like, we grow through the hardship. And I hope that's what happens to most of our listeners and people in the Tesla community. Like, it's been a hard road for Tesla to get to where we are today. From the early days of Tesla, it wasn't always a guarantee that Tesla would be where it is today. The fact that we're talking about Elon Musk being the richest person in the world is something that I dreamt about early days when I was, like, believing in this company. I told my friends and family when they thought I was a lunatic for putting in a lot of money in the Tesla early. I still remember what I said. I was like, sometimes you have to invest with your capital on the future that you want. The future that I envisioned 8 years ago was this. Maybe not exactly in this time frame. Tesla got there a lot quicker than I thought, but, like, the fact that Tesla is a top 10 S&P 500 company, the fact that the market validated that EVs are the future, the fact that Elon Musk is the richest person in the world. A lot of my friends are like, is it too late to invest in Tesla? Is the Tesla story done? I'm like, bro, it's the beginning. Like, the 9-inning game, we just barely finished the first inning, if that. The second inning started. The real Tesla growth story, the real Elon Musk story is the next decade, 2020 to 2030. Just watch. Record this shit that I'm talking about here. Let's replay this in 2030. I'm telling you guys, we're going to be celebrating Elon Musk Day. There's going to be so much. We don't even know. Like, nobody knows. We can't predict the future. But I have this feeling that not only will Tesla, X, or whatever the hell you want to call it, will be one of the largest companies in the world. Elon will be the first trillionaire, but he's going to spend his money in the right way to help humanity. Half of it on Earth, half of it trying to get us off this damn rock to go to Mars. I think it's exciting, even though it's kind of like 2020 was this weird, like it's the shittiest year. It was hard, but at the same time, through all that, we like overcame and just learned about ourselves. And, you know, I'm excited about, I mean, I guess I'm a natural optimist, dude. Like, I think the next decade is going to be so exciting. I'm still supporting Elon. I'm still supporting Tesla, SpaceX. I think the fun is still yet to come.
And this year, I think I agree with you, man. The big success of this year was Tesla breaking out as a stock. They're on their way to almost $1 trillion valuation. Everybody caught on board. And why this is so significant is it was only 2.5 years ago, that we were in that Model 3 production hell. And the Tesla Q criticism, the questions about them not making it and going bankrupt was very serious. Like when Elon Musk talked about, you know, they're only, like he told us later, they were single digit weeks away, which probably means 8 or 9 weeks. And if you didn't have somebody like him running the helm and doing what he was doing, it was like not inconceivable they don't make it. And that's reflected by Elon, you know, trying to get a meeting with Apple and look out for a buyout solution because he wanted to make sure Tesla could survive. And I think he was right, by the way, that Apple would have been the best choice of anyone to buy them, of a company that had a history of visionary tech. But, you know, when I look back at 2020, I think probably the highlight for me, aside from Tesla stock, was this was a big year for SpaceX, and that they had the first DM2 crew mission. They put, you know, Bob and Doug, the space dads, to the International Space Station, brought them back flawlessly. And this was another tremendous accomplishment for Elon Musk of running and SpaceX being the first private company in human history to put a man in orbit. Like he just did something that even most nations on this planet have not yet accomplished and haven't done. And then, you know, later in the year, they did a full Crew 1, which is a full crew went up, docked to the ISS. And it was like, SpaceX has made going to space so routine that aside from like these anniversary moments or flight tests, it almost just seems normal that they put things into space, it comes back down, it lands, they reuse it. They're doing like a launch every week. They're putting, you know, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Starlink satellites up. I mean, SpaceX is delivering Starlink to everyday customers, and people as fast as they can are signing up and throwing away telco forever. So I think the story that we've seen happen with Tesla over the past 10 years to the breakout year they had this year, I think we're like a year or two away from that happening with SpaceX. As SpaceX, you know, for SpaceX, the Starship is their Model 3. It is their Model Y. It is their 4860 battery. It's all of that in one is that rocket. And we're watching, I mean, we saw the first test flight of that last year with SN8 that did an awesome, like barely crash landed and exploded. So the future of space is going to be even more exciting than the future of Tesla. And Tesla still has so many more cool things to deliver for us. So it's going to be an awesome future. And it's cool to see the same guy driving so many of them. I think for any single human, if they could even do one of these companies that Elon did, they'd go down in history as one of the most influential people ever. We have the same guy doing like all of them. So it's pretty spectacular to watch. And it's an honor to be kind of in the circle that gets to be there for this stuff, right? Like we were there for the last Falcon Heavy flight, or RabSat, as like VIPs with Tesla and SpaceX. Like we've gotten to be at all the unveilings. Like we've met Elon, like, you know, I've gotten to get an autograph from Elon of the Adventures of Starman. Like, you know, like it's just, we're like so close to all of this and like front and center stage. And we were before anyone else believed in it, which is really awesome too. Like there were always the core of super fans, but mainstream, everybody said this was never going to work. We're like, no, it's definitely going to work. So it's been cool to see how it's pretty much this year, SpaceX and Tesla were completely validated in their own ways. And I think that was pretty stunning.
Yeah, I was reminiscing with a friend about that today. Like the first few events that I attended with Tesla, like the unveil events, Tesla wasn't what it is today. Elon wasn't who he is today. Like he would just hang out. Like a lot of the executives, I mean, you've been to these events with me. Like, I don't know how it's going to be going forward now that this dude is the richest guy in the world. I hope it doesn't change things. And knowing Elon, it probably won't. But to close us out, dude, this is the January 2021 first episode. We kind of did a wrap up of 2020. I'm going to make a couple of predictions of 2021 that this will be recorded so you guys can hold me accountable. There's two things that I'm predicting that are a little bit bullish on the Tesla side. Eli, if you want to think a little bit about one or two things out of left field, things that we're not thinking about today that are expected. We all think that 2021 is the year of Model Y production. That's going to be the focus. It's going to be the year of Berlin Gigafactory finishing and getting online, possibly Giga Texas. I think Giga Texas is going to be a massive surprise. I think we're going to produce Model Ys, a significant amount of Model Ys from Giga Texas that nobody's expecting. I think we're going to get a decent amount of Cybertrucks out of Giga Texas by the end of the year. I know it's super bullish. A lot of people think deliveries are set for Q1 of 2022. I think I will get my Cybertruck by the end of this year. I'm counting on it. The other thing that I think that people are not expecting is the Model 2 China version, Model 2 Europe version. I think Eli and I are going to attend an unveil event this year for that product line. And it will come out of both of those locations in Q1 or Q2 of 22. I think Elon's been sandbagging the shit out of that. I think that's going to make a massive impact on the stock towards the end of the year. I think Tesla's I know Model 3, Model Y was like this inflection point, but the real inflection points in exponential growth happen in these phases, right? I think the end of 21 is going to be another massive inflection point because we thought Tesla's iPhone moment was the Model 3, but the real iPhone moment is this car that doesn't exist yet. It's the Model 2, right? The 25K car. I think Eli and I are going to attend the unveil of that vehicle. It's going to blow our fucking mind. And I think it's going to come out in early 22. Eli, now to you.
All right, I got to say, one of your predictions I do agree with. I think we're going to see the unveil for the Model 2 right at the end of 2021. I think that's going to be a car made first for the China and EU markets because that's where that car is going to be the most explosive, especially in the EU. Like a lot of people don't realize they like cars even smaller than we do in their tiny cities and tiny parking spots. So that's going to be a gangbuster car for Europe and China. But I think my big prediction for 2021 is I think we're going to see SpaceX utterly dominating in the space of internet. And I think we're going to see an adoption rate on Starlink that people can't even imagine. Everybody's been sitting at home during COVID and using their internet more than ever and having more reliability and performance issues than ever. I sit on my home network. I pay for 150 megabits from Comcast, local monopoly who hasn't upgraded beyond copper in decades because they don't have to. I have one device on the network and I can't even successfully game because my latency goes to hell. Like it's unbelievable how bad telco has served their customers for decades, and SpaceX is about to eat their lunch. And I don't think anybody really understands how high the demand is for that product. And I think at the end of the year, I think the amount of money that we're going to hear that SpaceX is making is going to have an unbelievable contribution to that company. And it's going to do some stuff to accelerate Starship and other products they have in development that I think people can't even expect. I say for my big moonshot, SpaceX will announce development of another product that goes beyond just a rocket and a ship. I think they're going to start building other components that are going to be necessary for getting to the moon and building other objects in space, because I think Elon Musk is going to be impatient with the pace everyone else is going and start owning more of the problem himself.
Interesting. Well, that's a great way to wrap up the first episode of 2021. I just, again, dude, want to wish our good friend Eli happy birthday. I got to break out the Tesla tequila one more time, dude. I'm going to do another quick toast.
We got to do one more toast, kick off the year. You got to do it from the bottle, man. It seems like the only way to go.
You think so? Okay, so
yep.
Let me do a quick toast. I'm from Kazakhstan. We toast where I'm from.
All right.
But I guess I'll just do it with my bottle, huh?
Yeah.
Man, like, you're my brother. I have a hard time expressing the love that I have for you, and on behalf of even the Tesla community, dude, the things that when I first met you, I was like, dude, the first time I met somebody, I was like, dude, I thought I was like a 10 out of 10, 11 out of 10. And then I met Eli. I was like, clearly I'm like a solid 8. And this guy is the guy who's really like pushing things forward. with the, Starman, what you've done with that, what you're doing for kids and their, ambition for space and their curiosity, dude. I think it's unbelievable. Your Starman comic, just everything that you do for the community, dude. If I had to pick one person who's the pillar, the epicenter of the Tesla community, I mean, those of you guys in the community, like I'm just privileged that you chose me as your podcast buddy, as your bestie. We hang out together, like just getting to know you over this last several years, dude. Like, happy birthday, man. Thank you so much for everything that you do for me, for my family, for our Tesla family. Like, I honestly, that's one thing that a lot of people don't realize. When you buy a Tesla, when you join this community, you don't even have to buy a Tesla. You just have to like be in on the mission. This is such a cool, supportive community. A lot of our friends on Twitter and social media. So for those of you guys that are watching this right now, go ahead and take a shot for our friend Eli. Comment below, happy birthday. We love you, brother. Happy birthday, man. Cheers to you. And here's to a amazing 2021, man.
Thanks, brother.
Happy birthday.
I really appreciate it.
Let's go. This honestly is so good.
It's really smooth. It's
so smooth, dude. Yeah. For those of you that have this and haven't tried it, it's definitely time.
Well,
there you go.
I guess at this point, it's probably time to say thank you so much for watching this week's episode of The Tesla Geek Show.